Here's a question I found myself asking more than once in the dead of night. What does a scream sound like when it's swallowed by a mountain? Not echoed, not amplified, but swallowed, erased. As if the mountain itself decided it didn't like the sound and simply took it. That's the kind of silence you find in the Himalayas. The kind that makes you question if you are truly alone. And tonight, I'm going to tell you a story about a scream, a mountain, and the thing that lives in that silence. By the end, you'll understand why some secrets are best left buried under 1,000 feet of ice. A late-night warning. This isn't a campfire ghost story designed for a quick scare. This is something older, colder, a warning, really. It's about a journey into the heart of an ancient myth, a journey that stripped away the modern world and left only raw, primeval fear. You'll experience the turning point, the moment belief shattered, and the chilling cost of looking too closely at what the world isn't ready for. We're going into the highest reaches of the world, where the air thins and the veil between reality and legend grows fragile. This is the story of a research team, a desperate search for answers, and the terrifying realization that some things are not meant to be found. The first whisper of the high peaks. It was 2008, late autumn, when the wind already carried the bite of the coming winter. Dr. Eris Thorne, a man whose life was dedicated to cryptids, led a small, specialized team deep into the Khumbu region of Nepal. His obsession? The Yeti. Not the mythical beast of tourist tales, but a biological anomaly, an undiscovered primate. He spoke of compelling genetic markers, blurry photographic evidence, and the consistent oral histories of the Sherpa people. To him, it was science, not superstition. His team was small. A seasoned Sherpa guide named Tenzin, a sharp young biologist named Maya, and a former military survivalist, Ben. Their mission was ambitious, even reckless, to track, to document, to find. Their camp was established at 17,000 feet, a desolate patch of rock and ice, far from any established trails. The first strange detail wasn't a sighting or even a sound. It was the absolute, unnerving quiet. Tenzin, who had spent his life in these mountains, commented on it. Too quiet, he'd said, his breath pluming in the frigid air. Even the wind holds its breath. The story darkens. Days turned into weeks. The team found tracks, large, bipedal, unlike anything known to science. They were infrequent, always partially obscured, as if whatever made them moved with an almost supernatural caution. Maya meticulously documented every impression, every broken twig. Then came the disappearances, not of people, but of supplies. Small, significant things, a sack of dried fruit from a sealed container, a high-energy ration bar from Ben's personal pack. Nothing was broken into, nothing was torn, just gone. They initially blamed marmots, then each other, but the pattern was too precise, the selection too specific. It wasn't random scavenging, it was intelligent. It felt observed. That's when the first clear escalation happened. One night, a low, guttural growl vibrated through the thin nylon of their tents. It wasn't a bear, it was deeper, more resonant, carrying an unnatural weight. Ben, the hardened survivalist, was visibly shaken. He claimed it felt like it wasn't outside the tent, but underneath it, as if the mountain itself had groaned. The next morning, Thorne discovered something truly disturbing. Their motion-activated trail cameras, deployed around the camp, were all gone. Not just triggered and broken, entirely removed. No struggle, no sign of tampering, just vanished. This wasn't an animal, this was something else. The peak moment.
Here's what we know so far. A dedicated team, unexplained disappearances, an unsettling growl, and vanished equipment. The dread was a palpable fifth member of the expedition now. It was the night of the full moon, casting an eerie silver glow on the jagged peaks when everything crystallized. Tenzin was on watch. Thorne, restless, had also stepped out of his tent for a moment, drawn by the unnatural brightness. That's when they both saw it. A figure, impossibly tall, silhouetted against a ridge about 50 yards away. It stood perfectly still, watching the camp. It was broad, powerful, covered in shaggy, pale fur that seemed to absorb the moonlight rather than reflect it. Its head was sunk low, its posture almost hunched, but with a primal, predatory stillness. It wasn't ape-like in the way you might imagine a gorilla. It was too human in its stance, yet utterly alien. Thorne felt a cold wave of something far beyond scientific curiosity. This was not a cryptid to be studied. This was something ancient, territorial. It felt wrong, as if it didn't belong to their world. Then it moved. Not a walk, not a run. It flowed, a ripple of immense muscle, incredibly fast, disappearing behind the ridge without a sound. It was gone as quickly as it had appeared. Thorne turned to Tenzin, whose face was a mask of terror. His eyes were wide, fixed on where the creature had been. "Migo," Tenzin whispered, his voice barely audible. "Wild man, but not of this earth." Did you ever have a moment where the entire world tilted and everything you thought you knew became a lie? That was their moment. That was the scream swallowed by the mountain, long before anyone even thought to utter it. What still doesn't feel right? Thorne and his team returned from the expedition, shaken and empty-handed. They had no physical evidence, no fur, no bones, no definitive photographs. The cameras were gone. Thorne's official report spoke of extreme weather conditions and equipment failure. Maya quit myology altogether. Ben now refuses to sleep without a loaded shotgun beside his bed, even in his suburban home. So, what's my best conclusion as a storyteller? They found it, or rather it found them. They walked into its territory, and it allowed them to see just enough to understand the depth of their mistake before making them forget, or at least doubt. But what still doesn't feel right, what gnaws at me, is the silence. The quiet before the first growl, the way the camera simply vanished, the precision of the missing supplies. It implies not just a creature, but an intelligence, a patient, calculating presence that observed them, studied them, before revealing itself. It wasn't just a wild animal. It was something that understood their presence and chose to manipulate it. And that scream swallowed by the mountain? It wasn't a creature's. It was the scream of their scientific certainty, their rational world, being consumed by something far older and more powerful. Final thoughts. So, what do you think happened on that mountain? Was it a genuine sighting of the Yeti, or something even more unsettling? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if stories like this, tales from the hidden corners of our world, intrigue you, consider subscribing. You never know what secrets the night might bring.